policy analysts, legal support, and the coordination of partnerships and spaces to advance campaigns and movement building priorities. We also recently launched our Affording Our Energy Future States Leads the Way initiative, which is a national effort where we're teaming up with state climate justice coalitions and organizations to put affordability first in the clean energy conversation by replicating state solutions that are working toward even stronger policies. Which brings us to today and this brief that we're discussing called Heating Up, Higher Utility Bills and Fewer Options for Assistance for Washington, Oregon Customers. And this was written by Jennifer Moon, and it's one of the examples of the resources we'll be sharing throughout this initiative. So let's dive into these questions. Jennifer, can you tell us a little bit about what your brief is about?
Yeah, so we're seeing energy prices rise across the country. According to one poll that was conducted recently, about 60% of Americans have seen their energy costs rise in the last year. And so now roughly 1 in 10 residents in Washington and Oregon have energy cost burdens greater than 6%, which is what is considered affordable. When people can't afford their energy bills, they face some pretty tough choices. They can choose to pay the bill and then forego other basic needs like food and medicine. They can fall behind on their rent, which obviously leads to homelessness. And if they cut their energy use to lower their bill, they risk their health by exposing themselves to extreme heat and cold. And at the same time that people are struggling to keep up with energy costs, we're seeing assistance programs at the federal level being dismantled. States are going to have to step up and to provide relief and to help protect the health, safety, and well-being of their residents. And so this brief goes into deeper explanation of what's happening and then offers some legislative solutions that states like Oregon and Washington can consider.
Yeah, that's great. And I think definitely energy affordability, higher bills are something that we can all relate to.
Yeah.
So it's great that this brief is very timely, I will say. So can you share what challenges residents in Oregon and Washington specifically are facing when it comes to energy affordability?
Yeah, in Oregon and Washington, electricity rates have historically been low because of abundant hydroelectric power. But even in Oregon and Washington, we're seeing rates go up. In Oregon, for example, the rates have gone up by almost 50% over the last 5 years. And we're seeing people really struggling with affordability. And when you can't afford to pay the power bill, you're at risk of shutoffs. And we've seen record shutoffs in Oregon recently. During the summer months, as temperatures rise, everyone uses more air conditioning. We see fans, we see electricity demand surge. For those people who can afford an air conditioning unit and the energy to run one, their bills go up. And those without access to air conditioning face significant health risks that we're seeing with extreme heat. We saw this there was a heat dome a few years ago in the Pacific Northwest, and we saw, higher emergency room visits, more hospitalizations. And this is only going to worsen with climate change. Energy costs tend to be higher in the rural areas of Washington, Oregon, and temperatures fluctuate more in the eastern parts of those states in particular. There's also higher concentrations of mobile homes in the rural parts of Oregon and Washington, and they tend to be less energy efficient than other housing types, and they also tend to be more likely to rely on fuel oil or propane for heating, which can be more expensive. There's also some groups that are at particularly high risk from rising temperatures and also energy costs, like children, older adults, and people living with chronic health conditions that who are reliant on electricity dependent medical equipment. So we need to make sure that these people in particular have access to uninterrupted and affordable power so that they can stay safe.
Yeah, definitely. And what's causing energy costs to rise?
So there's a number of things going on. Climate change is definitely one. When it's too hot or too cold, energy use is going to go up, meaning that your utility bill increases. In Washington and Oregon, hydroelectric power is being impacted by decreasing snow melt and drought conditions. And in some parts of the country, things like wildfire prevention measures are also affecting prices. And then there's like the increased load demand. So we're seeing things like data centers. We're seeing price increases in utility bills because of the increased load. In Washington, data centers are now estimated to consume about 6% of the state's supply. And in Oregon, it's 11%. So those are some of the factors that are at play.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot. And you mentioned at the beginning that federal robots also have a role to play in this. Can you share some of the consequences of federal rollbacks that reduce energy assistance and efficiency programs?
Yeah. So as we're seeing the need increase, availability of assistance is being threatened. Just a few months ago, the entire staff of the federal low-income home energy assistance program, which is known as LIHEAP, they were fired, and so that program is being crippled. And now the budget for the program is at risk of being eliminated altogether. There's also federal programs that people rely on to help them reduce their energy bills through energy efficiency. And those are also at risk. So things like weatherization assistance and even the Energy Star program that certifies energy efficient appliances.
Yeah, definitely. And so, how can we address this problem of worsening energy burden and these drastic shifts at the federal level? And really, what can states do to respond?
Yeah, it's states are going to need to step up, and there's a number of things they can do. Shut off protections for low income and medically vulnerable households is a priority. States can also either create or expand their energy assistance programs. Oregon and Washington both have state energy assistance programs, and the funding for Oregon's program was just recently doubled to $40 million annually. So that's a step in the right direction, both to protect people from extreme heat and to control their energy costs. States can also expand things like resilience hubs, offer cooling centers, and increase access to weatherization and other energy efficiency measures. All this requires political will. Um, States are going to need to continue to fight for solutions that improve climate resilience for everybody and do it in a way that's affordable and equitable.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that, Jennifer. And as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share about the state of energy affordability right now?
Yeah, well, it's definitely top of mind for a lot of people, and issues around affordability of all kinds are in the news, and getting a lot of attention in the media. I think states are starting to recognize that they're going to need to fill the gaping holes that we're seeing in the social safety net. So hopefully, states will step up and find solutions that are equitable and provide relief, especially to low and moderate income households.
Definitely. And I think that, at Just Solutions, that's what we're thinking about. How can
Yeah.
we gather these resources and make it easier for states to do that, just that, step up and really provide resources to people who need them. And yeah, that brings us to the end. Thank you, Jennifer, so much for sharing this work, and thank you all for joining us. As I mentioned at Just Solutions, we are super excited about the resources coming out of our Affording Our Energy Future States Lead the Way initiative. You can look forward to seeing things like a energy affordability solutions library that will house model bills, regulatory templates, and cost-saving policy language backed by hard numbers. We'll also be convening state-focused EJ and CJ organizations and coalitions through our Affordability Hub this fall. And we'll be connecting frontline leaders, lawmakers, and regulators to cutting-edge research, peer learning opportunities, and technical assistance via our Policy Institute, just to name a few things that you can all look forward to. So again, thank you all for joining us today. Thank you again, Jennifer, for sharing your
Yeah,
expertise.
thank you, Taylor.
And you can all check out the work that our team is doing over at justsolutionscollective.org. This brief, Heating Up Higher Utility Bills and Fewer Options for Assistance for Washington and Oregon Customers, can also be found on our website under the Our Solutions tab. Be sure to revisit this live stream on our YouTube channel and check out our other webinar recordings and videos for more. And lastly, you can stay informed on all of our activities across our social media channels. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
All right. The live stream